Hey guys, let's play some Path of Exile, shall we? Today I'm going to demonstrate my Chaos Inoculation Facebreaker Witch, which looks sort of like this. I use Facebreakers, obviously, as this is the most efficient way to go about getting high damage without a weapon. Use a Maginord's Girdle, which adds some physical damage, which is what is important here. I use Rainbow Strides for the block chance, since this is a max block, or near max block build anyways. And I guess Aurora for the energy shield replenishing, which really helps a lot. And an Abyssus for the added physical damage, and the increased physical damage taken isn't really as much a big deal as people think. And for my rares, I use an amulet, which is pretty good. It's actually a crafting piece, so I plan to improve this further. And the rings are nothing special. I picked them up for pretty low prices, so it's no big deal there. The body is a 6-link Saintly Chainmail, which has a focus on energy shield rather than armor, since these are the only sources where I actually get my energy shield on this character. For my secondary, I use a Wrath Pit Globe. This is for the spell block, which helps a lot when you're in a situation where you face a boss such as Piety on maps like Temple or Shrine. Now, for flasks, it's a granite flask. I have one more actually for bleeding in this case. That's the only reason I use it. And 2 speed flasks, Quicksilver. I also have a freezing flask because in some situations you can get frozen. So let's look at the character sheet. My offensive ability is 19,674 here, DPS. However, I also run 2 auras, Discipline and Hatred. So if I go into the Eternal Lab, you'll see that I've almost 5.5k energy shield right now, and Hatred increases my DPS significantly, which is demonstrated here. When it comes to defense, I have not perfect resists quite yet. This is because I respect passive. However, this is not a hard fix on this build. I have 74% attack block, 27% spell block. If I switch over to my other weapon, I have 70% attack and 67% spell, which is good enough to take on any boss in the game. Now, if I get out of that, I go into my gems. I should have done that earlier, sorry. So, the gem configuration is as such. Reduced mana, Hatred, Discipline, Blood Rage. Blood Rage doesn't need to be connected to anything. I have Decoy Totem, Molten Shell, Cast 1 damage taken, and Temporal Chains, all max level. And in here, I have a Cast While damage taken and Enduring Cry. I don't have anything else connected to this, as I don't really need it. I have another Cast 1 damage taken here, level 1, which is connected to a Temporal Chains level 5, and an Increased Area of Effect max level. And I also have a Portal Gem. For my main attack, I use Infernal Blow, Melee Splash, Multi-Strike, Melee Physical Damage, Melee Damage on full life, and faster attacks. And that about covers the gear specifics of this build. If we go into my passive tree, you'll see that it's a pretty odd way of going about it. So, at the start, I went up here, took these energy shield, got Arcane Focus for the maximum energy shield bonus. Then I went over here, took these nodes, just following the lane, going down here, taking these shield blocks. Further down, I ignored this early on because it wasn't as relevant. Went down here, took all of these shield block nodes, Went down here, ignored this for later. Followed the path down, down, down. Got Resolute Technique. Got down here. Took these shield blocks. Went down again. Took Blood Drinker, very important. Down here, Unwavering Stance. Continuing on. Went down, got these blocks nodes as well. Down here, took the Max Endurance Charge. And Val Pact, which is very important for this build. This I can actually respec out of. Huh. Oh well, that's good to know. I used to have Diamond Flesh, but when I reached a certain threshold with my gear, I realized I didn't need it anymore, so I unspec'd from it. After going this long, dwindling path, I started going this direction instead. I went down here, got down to these aura buffs, and stopped at Mind Drinker. Then I went up again, went back here, took Unnatural Calm, and went down for Ghost Reaver. Rather, I didn't take Ghost Reaver quite yet. I took these shield blocks, and this is where I'm working right now. At level 62, I took Ghost Reaver, Chaos Inoculation, and these nodes after it. I took Val Pact. I did all this at 62 to ensure that I could survive when I actually went with the Val Pact, or Chaos Inoculation. So, I suppose a demonstration of this would be in order. So, let's go in a map here. I've prepared one. Pretty simple Arachnid Nest, Elemental Weakness, Monsters fire extra projectiles, no problem, 2 bosses, easy mode. So let's go in and see how it works, shall we? Now, let's use Blood Rage for the Life Leech, and let's smack away. As you can see, everything pretty much dies instantly with this build, which is amazingly fun. If I have one complaint about the build, is that it gets kinda too easy. The only things I have to worry about are these Bone Roas, because they can actually kill me if I get a bad streak. And it kinda hurts a lot. It's them, and it is sometimes Devourers. If there's a big pack, it has killed me, although not that often. I suppose, let's see here, there's one more mob that can be tricky for this build. I can't exactly remember which. I think it is, these can be dangerous, the Cinder Elementals, because damage over time is one of the risks with the build. However, it's one of the easily mitigated risks, because all you have to do is move out of the fire that it leaves on the ground, basically. And beyond that, there's not really much else to tell, really. Works very well. It's sorta expensive to build. I've spent about 45 exalts on this character, I think. Or rather, it would be valued at that. I was lucky enough to actually find some of these things that I required for the build, so I kind of got out lucky there. And if you go into a map with this build and do something like a if it has Elemental Reflect, all you have to do is switch out your melee damage on full life gem with a Life Leech gem, and it doesn't even have to be leveled. It works perfectly fine at level 1. I just happen to have a level 21 just in case, which I have right here. And I think that about covers it. Weaknesses on bosses, I would say Academy boss, the guy with the books, he's kinda tricky. You will have to avoid his tornadoes and use Rat Bit. The 278 bosses are kinda tricky, although not that bad. And then you have bosses such as what are they called? Cole can actually be face tanked with this build without any bigger problems. Every incarnation of Dominus on maps is actually quite easy to deal with. You can deal with even Palace Dominus without any major problems, as long as you avoid his one-hit smash. And even if he does smash you, you still have enough block chance to actually, more often than not, just ignore his attack completely. So that about wraps this character up. When I level up, my goal for this character is 90 before Domination ends. I'm going to take these last nodes here, Evasion and Energy Shield and Void Barrier, at which point I think this build is pretty much finished. So, if you have any questions, I will also link to the build guide I followed for this thing, because this is not by my design. It's just what I decided to pick up, and I really enjoy this build. I don't think I'll do it again, though, because due to the nature of using so many uniques, you kind of get locked in a state where finding upgrades is really hard. Thus, it gets kind of dull, because all you do is basically running around farming mobs just to get loot. But that's one downside, so I would suggest playing this with a color of some kind. Preferably a color with fairly high damage, as this build does a lot of damage. So, I think that's it, and I'll see you next time.